We're almost cooking. Just turned the stove on. It's warming up. Seems like this is electrical stove today, not a gas stove. That's how the internet is moving, like an electrical stove. Huh? There you go. All right, cool. Anyone else want to get in? No. Nope. I guess this is what we have today. All right. Can you all see my screen? Good. Or portion was a double. And what I mean by double is we read two of them. Bahar was chapter number 25, and it only went through chapter number 25. It was pretty long. It's like 55 plus verses. And then, of course, Bakutai or Bakukotai is chapters number 26 and 27. So they were pretty intense, very intense. And Bahar basically means that I am going to speak to you on the mountain. And Be Kukotai has to do with in my decrees or with my decrees. And so this brings us back to when the Most High was speaking to Moshe when he went up on Har Sinai. So we see that this wasn't just, I would say in an order that's like, you know, uh, like a book order. It had to be something different, right? So obviously the Most High has saved this for us at the end in order to bring to our attention uh, the things that really matter to him. And chapter number 26 is where our focus is going to be today. Okay. So I want you to be able to take some notes, ask any questions you may have. I chose this in particular picture because some of the things that I saw was very shocking. And I wanted to make sure that I gave some shock and some awe to us about what it is that we're going to see. Okay. And obviously, when they were dealing with the Most High, when he showed up on the mountain, they had a great fear about themselves. And when he was talking to them, they were just in shock and awe, and they were trembling. They were very afraid of him. And our Torah person talked about how the fear of the Most High is something that would cause people to do the right thing. And he says, when you're dealing with the poor, you're dealing with your brother, you're dealing with a slave, or you're dealing with your crops, or you're dealing with any type of business dealings with each other, you are always supposed to remember the fear of the Most High Yah. And it says to fear from your Elohim. And so, we all know that the fear is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge is of the Holy One, the understanding of the Most High. And so, that's how we're going to operate. Okay. I did want to bring this to our attention so we could just get it right off the board, and we can have a discussion about it. The Most High has indicated in his Torah that the people of Israel, or the sons and daughters of Israel, they're his slaves. We're slaves. And he says that they're my slaves, in whom I brought out the land of Egypt. I am Yahweh, your Elohim. A lot of people have contention and problems with this in particular verse because they don't literally see themselves as slaves. They can never imagine themselves as slaves, especially because of all the advancements that we've had in terms of technology. Where do we live, and or how much education we have. And so we try to separate ourselves from this title. But this is how the Most High sees us. He sees us as slaves. He says, "You're my slaves." And we became Yahweh's slaves, meaning his servants. Servant and slave in Hebrew is exactly the same word, which is Eved. And Eved means to serve, right? So he brought us out from our slavery in order to serve him. That's why we were brought out. And so, when you and I are in our slavery, We're there to serve the individuals that we're serving. So the purpose of Yah bringing the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, and which would be the same purpose and why he'll bring us out of our exile, is because I'm going to bring you out of your slavery, and then you are going to serve me. So right now, we're not serving the Most High. Religiously, people would say, yeah, we are serving the Most High. We're reading the Torah. I'm going to show you today that you and I are not serving the Most High. Not in that context. Okay. We're seeking the Most High, but you and I are not serving the Most High. Hopefully, over the last few weeks of reading the Torah portion of Vayikra, we found that the Most High is Kadosh and that he has a family that's supposed to serve him. And the people have to be able to approach him in the manner in which he has prescribed according to what is written. So you and I don't get an opportunity to make up the rules or the laws as we go along. We don't get to, try to, um, you know, adjust things or try to manipulate the text in order for us to feel better about our status and our situation. Okay. So I wanted to bring that back to our attention. He says, when I brought them out, whom I brought out of the land, they're slaves and they're my slaves. Okay. This is the problem with um, our people. Everyone is saying that they're innocent in some way or another because they didn't, break the law in one way or another, or they don't feel like they're guilty, or they feel that, hey, I'm reading the Torah and I'm keeping the Sabbath, I'm eating all of the right foods, I don't worship idols, I do this and I do that. But that's our opinion about ourselves. The Most High is looking at us, and this is what he says. He says that you said I'm innocent, and surely he's no longer angry at me. I cannot begin to tell you how many conversations I have with individuals who believe that because they've come to the knowledge of Yahweh and they've come to the knowledge of his name and they've come to the knowledge of the Torah, and they read the Psalms, or they might know the language, or they may have some high degree of aptitude to understand what he's asking of us, that for whatever reason they don't think he's angry. And surely couldn't be angry at me right now because I'm quote unquote doing what he says. The Most High says, I am passing sentence on you because you say I have done nothing wrong. I'm not here to condemn anyone. I want to be clear about that. I'm not here to make us feel bad. I'm not here to indict anyone. I'm not here to judge. Okay. I'm simply here to help us understand, to bring an understanding to us about how does the Most High see us in our situation. And it's okay how he sees us. When he says, because you have done this, he uses this word, all. Okay. This word, all, it's a root and it means on, or it means because, or it means above, or it means upon. But Hebraically, it means to see authority, or to be aware of the authority of the Most High, or to see the staff, or to see the leadership. The reason why people are saying to Yah that they're innocent, and because the Most High is not angry at them, right, is because they don't really see this. This also means a yoke. They don't see that, leader, to see the yoke, to see the yoke, to see the shepherd, okay, the one who's carrying the staff. So our opinion about ourselves is different than what the Most High has said about us. Okay. And again, I'm not here to discourage. When he says that you have said that I have done nothing wrong. Yes, Mashallah.
Well, it it's we can't think of ourselves as innocent if we realize the moment we realize that we are still in captivity.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I might as well have you teach the rest of the class because that's basically what it's about. That's how simple it is. When we're in what to speak to Mashallah's point, when we're in exile, that is a clear indication that we're still in the judgment of Yah. Okay. So I'm not saying that the Most High hates us. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that the Most High has not shown us kindness. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is what the Most High has said. I am passing judgment, this word sentence, on you because you failed, right, to undersee the authority, and you say that I have done nothing wrong. That is your opinion. Okay. That's our opinion. Let me throw myself in there. That's our opinion of ourselves. And that's a problem. You shouldn't really care about how you see it. You and I are wrong. It's not could be, we are wrong, right? When we say that Yah is no longer angry at us, people say this because they got a good job, or they say that because they got money in the bank, or they say that because they're not sick, or they say that because they know the Torah. They say that because they're not in Christianity, or they're not worshiping idols, or they're not keeping the holidays any longer. So he's not angry at me. And this is the problem with us as a people. And I'm going to show you why this is a problem. Okay. A huge problem. I want to talk to you today about the knowledge of seven. Okay. A lot of us know what the number seven means. It means complete. It means to swear. It means, saints set apart. Even in your Torah portion in chapter number 26, in chapter number 26, where it talks about the curse, he said, I'm going to punish you 7 times over. All the time, I'm going to do it. You do this, I'm going to do it 7 times. You do this, I'm going to do it 7 times. So seven is Yah's number that he uses to talk about things. 7 years you're supposed to let the land rest. So the land is supposed to get a Shabbat. 7 times 7, 7 years times 7 years is 49, and then on the 50 years is Jubilee. It's a time of release. 7 days a week, you work on the 6 days, on the seventh day you rest. There's seven appointed times. What they call the festivals of the Most High. So the number seven is all throughout the Torah. And Yah uses it and he signifies things by this number. Okay. So I want to share a little bit more knowledge about the number seven for you, or the seven that you need to know. Okay. It's found in this word that was in our Torah portion in chapter number 26. Now, I don't want you to get, discouraged when you see words that you don't know what they mean. Like, what this word is, knowledge, because this is what you've been taught of seven. So we understand that. But when I put this word up here, you get a little frazzled, like, what does this mean? I'm your brother. It's my job to help you understand what the Most High has said. I said this last week and the week before. I'm not here to teach us how to be Kadosh. I'm here to teach us what these words mean. So when you're reading the scriptures this week, you probably read it in English. Okay. I read it in English and I read it in Hebrew. All right. So in Hebrew, I want you to know what this word means, because this is the key to understanding what the Most High is talking about. So when you see words like, hitwada or hitwadu, um, I'm going to have confidence and trust and believe what I'm saying to you. Write it down. I'll give you the verse just so you'll know. It's in chapter number 26, verse number 40. Okay. 40. Once you go look it up yourself, just so you can verify what Akika is saying. Okay. So the hitwadu is a Hebrew word for knowing, okay, or confessing. The heat part of it, this HI right here, T right here, means that you have to do something for yourself. This is something that you cause to do to yourself. The wad really comes from the idea of knowledge and knowing. And then the U represents you as plural, okay, a group, not a singular. This is a group project right now, okay? So when we talk about the group, we're talking about not us as individuals, we're talking about collectively, okay? Now, the collective is made up of individuals. So, for example, you and I are a group and we're all on here together. So, what we're going to do is we have to take responsibility for what we're going to do to ourselves. Okay. So, the hit what I do is you guys, you can remember you as you guys need to know right? And the only and the way that you're going to know this is that you have to do it yourself. You got to do this yourself. So no one can teach us this, okay? Or cause us to do this, excuse me. I'm teaching what the word means, but no one can teach you on how to do this except for you, okay? So when you find out about it, it's your choice. You have to make that decision. But collectively, all of us will have to have done this thing right here, the heat wadu. Okay. It means you will cause yourself to do this action on yourselves. That's what it means. Cause yourself to do this action or cause yourself to know. That's what you have to do. And the way that we're causing ourselves to know this, like how, I wash my hands. No one else is washing my hands. I have to wash my hands. When I'm hungry, I go get something to eat. I'm feeding myself. Okay. So I don't have to know this for myself. Yes, mashallah.
So can we say that Pete Wadu what the people did at Har Sinai when they said we will accept, or
Yes.
on the mount of on the mountains in Deuteronomy, the curses and the blessings, and they say this we will do or this we accept.
Yeah, so that would be like asu, right? Because asu
Okay,
is to do, but this is heat wadu. Wadu means to know. That's
to
what it
know.
means. To confess. Yes. This is confession. That's basically what it means. Yes, Elder Birozanya.
Oh, okay. So you're saying it's confession because I didn't understand when you were using like synonym like feeding yourself or bathing yourself. You know, if a person becomes ill or old, someone else can do those things for you.
Yeah,
So
yes, absolutely.
so this is what I do. I'm just trying to get like a literal, if there is a literal translation. So now
Oh,
a confession is now it's a confession.
yeah, this is a cause yourself for them to confess. Because wa has to do with the yod, and the yod is the hands. Okay, so
Mhm.
yod comes from the word yada. So yod is a hand, and then yada, Yada, right? Yada means confession. Okay. So the heat right here means that you're going to cause yourself to do this for yourself. So it's not like you're going to go to church and someone's going to say, lift your hands up and make your confession. You're not going to do that. It's not going to be that. It's going to be like you're going to have to do this on yourselves, meaning you have to come to this knowledge on your own.
Okay.
That's what it means. So the
Okay.
wadu, the hiwadu, means for you to confess.
Yeah.
Confession means that you're acknowledging, right, what
Hmm.
has happened.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And I guess I understand because Yahweh does that a lot. Like when He says, "I'll return to you when you return to me with all your heart, with all your soul." All these things no one can do for us. So it
Hmm.
kind of fits in with knowing Him, what you're saying.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
So because of this is a confession, this is a confession and acknowledgement that we must do, right, as a group. This u right here is a plurality of a group. Okay. Of course, the group makes, individuals make up the group, but everybody that's part of the group has to had made this confession. So there's a group of people who are going to make this confession, and there's a group of people who are not going to make the confession. That's why I'm here to teach us how to make that confession if you decide that you want to do it, if you acknowledge what he's about to tell us. That's my job. So, and I took this job not because the Most High told me to. Yes, mashallah.
Just to clarify, this is a confession to yourself, right? Not to not to anyone else, or to the Most High,
No.
between, right?
Yes.
Not to any man.
Yeah. So here's the deal. What it is not to, you're not even making a confession um to, in a sense, to the Most High, because he didn't say that you should do this to me. The action is to convince oneself. You have to confess to yourself. You have to acknowledge something about you. Okay. That's what we have to do. We have to acknowledge these things that I'm about to show you about you and your ancestors. Okay. So when you see the Hebrew words, don't get, because I'm going to explain it to you in English and I'm going to show you what it is transliterated. But I have to bring it through this way because if I said it in English, I really couldn't explain it from a Hebraic perspective. That's the only reason why I'm mentioning Hebrew, is because I know when I look at it in Hebrew, it's different than English. It's very, very different. Okay. So I don't want to discount the teaching, like I said, by, minimizing it or just, watering it down. And, some people say, well, you just keep it as simple as possible. Yeah, we can do that, but you could be missing something if I was just to keep it in English. Because I could read it in English, but Yah didn't speak it in English. He didn't tell Moshe to write this down in English. Put it in the culture so you can understand the cultural significance of what he's saying. So when he says your iniquity and your sins, I got to tell you what iniquity and sins are. When he says that you're going walking contrary to me, I got to show you what contrary means from a Hebraic perspective. So you can really put the pieces together because that's what it is. It's a bunch of pieces to a puzzle that we're going to put together. There's 7 of them. All right. So the rules is not to get intimidated by what you see. If you went to go travel to another country and you went to a beach or you went to different cities, say you went to Hawaii and they had a place called Ma'aluani, you would remember that when you tell somebody, say, "Where'd you go on vacation?" I went to Ma'aluani. Where's that at? Oh, that's in such and such. Okay. And there was a city called Owonam in Avotam. Oh, that's a cool sounding city. You know what I'm saying? So don't let these words get you, you know, Waikiki, or Honolulu. That you understand what I'm saying? So it's not, don't get like confused about, well, because I don't know what these words mean, I'm going to automatically shut them out of my psyche. So I have to remember them. Okay. So I'm going to show you the 7, and there's 7 areas that is called the Awo Nam, and this one is called Avotam. I'm going to tell you what that means. Because if you don't know what this means, then you're not going to do hit wadu. You're not going to do it. And you won't even know. So if you don't do all 7 of these, then you have never hit wadu. You have to do all of them in order to hit wadu. That's the point. Okay. So hit wadu means that you're going to have to make a confession on yourselves and about you and your ancestors. Okay. So let's begin. The Awonam, Avotam, is talking about your fathers and it's talking about your perversity. And I'm going to go over each one of these words with you and break out the root. Like, for example, I'm going to bring out a won. Okay. Because a won is what we're going to be talking about. And then the right there is talking about them. And the avot is fathers. And then is their fathers. Okay. This right here, the next one is called ma'alu. Ma'aluani has to do with, and of course, every time you see the u on the end of a word, you know, it means shamaru or halaku or hitwadu or alaku or any of these halaku, any of these u's is talking about a group of people, right? So the ma'alu is talking about how the Most High is saying that um, you have been treacherous towards me, you have betrayed me, right? And so we need to talk about that. And then we're going to break down this halaku, the halaku bakirbi. The halaku bakiri has to do with how you have walked contrary to me. They have walked contrary to me. Okay. Um, and then here it is the lock. That means that you have walked. And then the bakiri means to be in opposition against me. And I'm going to talk to you about what opposition means. So these are the phrases that the Most High is used. These are his words that he used, that he is telling them what the issue is. Alek carry, meaning alek means I will walk against you, contrary. And then, of course, the next one is called the Heveti Otam, the Oyavehaim, and this is going to be dealing with Yah delivering them, okay, into the to their enemies. Okay, your Oyave, we're going to talk about that. So don't get scared. I'm going to teach it to you. The Kana, okay, the Kana, the Lavavam is the dealing with one's heart, because here's the Lavam. And then what type of heart? The heart is going to be one of Kana, and Kana means to be humble. Okay, this is another word that's used for humility, but it's in a different way. So I need to explain to you why this type of humility is different than one browbeating themselves in a sense. Okay, and the Hearel is dealing with the uncircumcision of one's heart. Okay, and then finally we're going to deal with the Yirtsu, the Awon, which, as you can see up here, Awonam right here, Awon is part of that word, and that is saying that I need you to acknowledge your Yirtsu Awon. I need you to acknowledge your Awon. All right. So the heat I do is all of the seven things that are mentioned right here that we have to confess to. So it's imperative that we understand what each one of these things mean from a Hebraic perspective. If I put it in English, then you would not know what it means. Okay. You really wouldn't, because those words are completely different. All right. So let's get right to it. All right, the first one that you would see on your right-hand side of the screen is dealing with, and I'm not trying to make it complicated, okay? In Hebrew, Aleph means number one. The first thing is awon, and awon basically means perversity, okay? So you should write that down. It's the perversity. And in Hebrew, perversity is known and recognized by a rope, okay? That's what it's recognized as, by a twisting of a rope. So you may ask yourself, well, what do you mean by a twisting of a rope? What does that have to do with perversity? Well, from the ancient Hebrew culture, the twisting of the rope is saying that there's multiple threads that one takes and puts them together. And it could be a tree bark, it could be anything. And what they do is they twist it together, and the twisting of it makes it into a rope. And sometimes that rope will be small, or it could be thick, or could, depending on how thick it is. But it really has to do with one's thoughts. The twisting of a rope is one of one's thinking, right? And so, what the avon, or the perversity that the Most High is saying to us about what I want you to acknowledge. Remember, I need you to acknowledge the perversity of you and your ancestors. What I need you to acknowledge is that just like they would twist a rope, what you have been doing is you've been twisting my words, and you have been twisting the way that you think. Your ways are perverse, and your actions are they're not straight, right? Ropes are generally wrapped together and to be made strong, but they also can get twisted in a way that's not straight. And then when they're not straight and they have knots in them, they're not useful. So the reason why this is used to tell us about our perversity or our wound, and they would call a wound iniquities, is that our iniquities and the things that we're doing are very twisted, okay, and is very perverted, and that happens through our thoughts and our knowledge, that you haven't been straight. Everything that's been in your life has been twisted. It's not straight. Okay. And because it's twisted, it's not useful. So walking with the Most High, or being in a relationship with Him, one cannot have a mind that is twisted, and it can a mind that is perverted, or a mind that will take what He says and then tries to change it. Because remember, He said that anything that I tell you, don't add to what I'm saying, don't subtract from it. The adding is to add extra threads to what I said. And when you were doing something He asked us not to do, we're perverting what He said. The perversion also too comes to when the Most High expresses what His expectations are, and we turn around and we minimize what He says. We diminish from what He said. Okay, we add what we're saying to it, and when we do that, we're perverting it. When one is to say that, hey, the Most High is going to accept, these set apart times that He said that they need to have offerings and all that. Well, we're going to give Him the set apart times in the manner that we want to, and what we're going to do, instead of offering Him the lamb on Pesach, what we're going to do is we're going to give Him, we're going to go ahead and do some salmon, and that will be acceptable, because I don't eat lamb. So if I put some salmon in there, then He'll accept it, because that's what I eat, right? So they're adding to what the Most High said. Okay. He says that, we need to make sure that on, Sukkot, that, let's just use Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. They want us to humble themselves someone would say, you know what? He also, and they'll look in the book of Isaiah and say, well, he said that, your fasting wasn't the real true fast for me is giving to the poor and the hungry. And so instead of fasting and you doing what the Most High has asked you to do, what was commanded, you'll go ahead and take what he said to someone else in another framework, and then you'll apply that to God's word, and then you'll twist it there. Instead of you fasting yourself, what you'll do is go out and give food to the poor. Because he said, this is the kind of fast I'm looking for. Well, they took that out of context, and I'm making reference to Isaiah chapter number 58, where people go there and say, well, this is the kind of fast he's looking for. Well, in that context, they took that and applied it to the Day of Atonement, and that's not what you're supposed to do. Okay, so basically that is what Awon is. Ma'al was the next word that we talked about, which is Ma'alu, which is that they have betrayed me. The Most High wants us to acknowledge that our ancestors and even ourselves have betrayed the Most High, and we have actually walked away from the Most High, and we left the Most High, and we've been what they would call unfaithful to the Most High. Was in this word all, which is defined as betrayed or betrayal, um, you can see in the letters that have been given to us that it has the ayin and the lamed again in it, which is the one that we read earlier, where I said that we fail to see the authority of the Most High. So we see now that he said you fail to see the authority of the Most High. You fail to recognize um, the yoke of the Most High. You fail to recognize you and your ancestors that you are to serve me, and you fail to recognize that I'm the one who has put a yoke on your neck to do the work that I want you to do in the field that I want you to work in, which of course would be the world that you're supposed to be working in. This letter right here from the word Ma'al, the M right here is this letter right here, okay? And the this all right here is that yoke over here, okay? So he's saying that you fail to see my authority. And what you've done is you've removed, okay, the yoke. So this word here, or this letter, means from, okay? And that, of course, is the yoke. So what you've done is you took from yourself from the yoke of the Most High. When we took ourselves off from the yoke of the Most High, the yoke of the Most High was there to train us, and it was there so you and I could learn from him. Okay. So learning is part of it, right? So anytime you see the Hebrew letter Lamed right here, it always has to do with learning or leading or guiding, and that's through the staff of the Most High. So the shepherd's saying, okay, well, you guys are supposed to do the work in the field for me, but yet you took off the yoke that I have for you. And the yoke that he has for us is one to guide us and to teach us. So you've abandoned the idea of learning for me. That's what you did. And you do that when you fail to, this letter right here is to see that I have the authority over you. So your unfaithfulness, your ma'al, comes from your inability to see that I have the authority, to be guided by me and to learn from me and to listen to me. That's what he's telling us, is that unless you acknowledge that you and your ancestors abandoned what I said, and you fail to see my authority, then you really haven't hit wadu. You really haven't made a confession. Okay. So it's not only to make the confession by mouth, but it's to make a confession by changing one's ways. I hope you can see that. So confession for us is not like you would have in Christianity, where you and I will go and confess to some man. Our confession is something that has to happen within ourselves. And so you may ask, well, how do you do that? And I'm going to explain it to you. Okay. The next word, it was called heliku, or yeah, the halaku. The halaku means that you guys are walking bakari. And to walk bakari towards the Most High is to walk contrary to him. And from a Hebraic perspective, this bakari here means that you're walking in hostility. So one is supposed to confess to themselves. They can't be told this by anyone else. So, for example, I can't say I got to wait for a preacher to tell me this, or I got to wait for someone to, share this with me for me to be able to come to this on my own. I have to do this myself, right? And the only way that I can do that is if I have a conversation with myself and I have to think. And that's where the problem's at. Often people want other people to teach them so they can have some responsibility and take away their responsibility that they have for themselves. And that's what the creator is really trying to get us to understand. Our ancestors failed to teach us these things. And as a result, we've been living in the shadow of them. And we've been following everything that they have followed. And as a result of that, we're always looking for someone else to tell us something. It's like, the people were looking for the prophets to always tell them, hey, what did the Most High say? They're always making inquiry with the prophet like Ezekiel. Hey, we want you to go to the Most High and talk to the Most High for us. We want you to do this. We want you to do that. What is the Most High saying? They never really wanted to consider what their actions were. They always wanted to play a game of back and forth with the Most High. So this knowledge and this confession of oneself is to say, and this is a tough one, because none of us really want to acknowledge this, that we have been living and walking in hostility towards the Most High. Okay. You said, well, I haven't been in hostility to the Most High because remember, I'm innocent. I'm innocent of this. I haven't worked. I haven't done this. So this is where we get lost in the sauce because we're thinking, well, we're changing, so we're not in hostility to the Most High because we don't really understand the depth of hostility he's talking about. Okay, the depth of hostility is this: the Most High says, "While you're in the lands of your enemies, you are profaning me. You haven't set apart my name." He said, "Well, I have set apart your name. I don't say your name in front of people. Often, even the Jews don't even mention his name. They call him Hashem. But people are coming up with different ways to justify, their existence. Like, hey, he's not mad at me and I'm not mad at him. And I'm fully restored in relationship with the Most High. Most High says that's not true. You're still in hostility. You're still in hostility towards me. And often you don't understand, well, how could that be? Well, it's because you're in exile. You're in exile to the Most High. And you are in hostility towards him. You and I are still not carrying out what he wants to be done in the manner that he wants to be done. And that's a tough pill to swallow. Okay. The next one was a lake. Right? He said a lake but carry, meaning I will walk what? The Most High is talking now. He said, I will walk. Okay, meaning I'm walking. Okay, this is future tense. I will walk, meaning I will walk what? I'm going to walk in hostility towards you. If you don't acknowledge that you're in hostility towards me, and Most High says, if you don't acknowledge that I'm in hostility against you, then you haven't hit wadu. You haven't confessed, and you haven't told yourself this, and you haven't been honest with yourself. This is where we're all failing, and it's not. And when I say that we're failing, I'm not saying that we're not trying to do the right things. I'm just trying to bring us around to understand that his ways are not our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts. The method in which he wants us to serve him and to love him is different than how you and I are doing it and how we perceive, this circumcision of the heart, or how we perceive the obedience, or how do we perceive the service of the Most High. All we're going off is the information that we have. So right now we're seeking Yah and we're searching for him, which is not a bad thing. And we're doing it the best way that we know how. But even so, it might be the best way we know how, doesn't mean that it's the right way. It's not the right way. It's not. Okay. Haveti. The next one is Haveti, which means that I have caused them to be brought out, I have brought them into, meaning I have brought them into what? I have brought them into the lands of their enemies. Okay. And the reason why this word is so important is because the first couple letters are telling you that I'm the one who caused this. Okay. The Veti means that I have caused to brought them into the lands. And so this is an action that he has caused. So he's telling us if you don't confess this to yourselves, that I'm the one who brought you into these lands, you think you just ended up in these lands because you just ended up there, then you got a problem. Okay. You have to know that I'm the one who brought them into the lands. They also have to say that I'm the one who's hostile towards them. They also have to say that they're hostile towards me. There's other things that he said that you guys have hated me. And we say, no, I never hated you. And he says, there you go. I'll read it again. I'm innocent. He's not angry with me. That's our opinion of ourselves. That's not his opinion. So Yah knows us as a family. He knows us more better than we know ourselves. He says the whole entire house of Israel is a bunch of rebels. That includes Akika, that includes everybody on Zoom, that includes everybody that's in the house of Israel. He said, all of you are rebels. And we say, no, I'm not. I'm doing what you asked me to do. He said, you're a rebel. We don't like that. I've been to places where they say, no, no, we're not rebelling. We're all coming to Shabbat. We're all trying to figure it out. So how could you say something like that? They keep forgetting that I'm not saying it. The Most High has said it. And you and I are in this, and we're in exile. We're in a place that he says that my face is turned against you. And if you don't confess this, if you don't heat why do this, then you're gonna have a problem. You're gonna be just like your ancestors. Because if we don't acknowledge these things and we don't accept these things, then it's clear that you and I are still in a deep-seated rebellion, a hatred towards what he said. So just like we're looking to, do what he says and say, well, okay, I'm going to do the best I can with this, and we don't want to change anything he's saying, we cannot change these words. Okay. So this is it's not classified as a commandment. It's not a commandment for us. He's saying this is what is going to happen for the individuals who do come to the heat wadu, the individuals who do come to the self-examination, the ones who do make this confession, the ones who do admit that this is going on. Because if you don't admit these things, so that means that you haven't done this, which means you're part of the other group. There's the ones who are going to heat wadu, and these other ones who are not going to heat wadu. They're not going to confess. They're not going to say that the Most High is against me. They're not going to say that. I'm going to show you the benefit of you saying that he's against you. I'm going to show you the benefit of him saying that, hey, I'm the one who brought you to your enemy's lands. I'm going to show you the benefit of you saying that I've been hostile towards the Most High. If that can't come off your lips, then you are not being truthful. And who are you not being truthful to? You're not being truthful to yourself. And as a result of that, you're going to still be in hostility, even in the future. Okay. So when he talks about this hostility and he talks about how the Most High is the one who brought us into the lands of our enemies, he's really saying, I brought you to the place of hostility. The reason why he brought us to a place of hostility is because you and I are been hostile towards him. Yah's hostility towards us, and I'm going to be very, very clear with you. Yah's hostility towards us is by bringing us into the lands of hostility. That's the reason why he said, I'm hostile. I'm walking against you. I'm in hostility against you. Yah's hostility is like, I'm not saying he's like, looking at you and saying, I'm going to hurt you right now. He's saying, I'm hostile towards you right now. You should know that Yah is still hostile towards you because you're in the lands of your enemies. You're still in lands of hostility. So Yah has used the enemies and the exiles, the place where we're exiled, to show you that he's hostile towards us. So when one says that he's not hostile, then you're calling Yahweh a liar. And you're saying that what he said is not true. That's the reason why he wants us to admit and confess this. So if you can't confess that I'm in hostility, I was hostile towards you, and you are hostile towards me right now, then there could never be any real true reconciliation between you and the Most High, because you and I are not being honest. We're not agreeing with Yah. That's the whole purpose of the heat wadu, is to come to an agreement with the Most High. I need to explain to you what hostility means from a Hebraic perspective. So you and I won't think of hostility like, at your job or in a relationship between a man and his wife, or between, enemies you're fighting on the streets and all this kind of stuff, or the government and its subjects. Let's talk about the hostility of the Hebrew people and what Yah was talking about when he says, I'm hostile towards you, and you've been hostile towards me. So let's figure out what that means. Okay. That's why Hebrew is so important. Okay. The word hostility comes from the word not only of you would say bakari, right? So if you know this has been a theme, I've been going hostile towards you, you're hostile towards me. You walk in hostility towards me, I walked in hostility towards you. All right, I'm walking hostility towards you. And I sent you to the lands of your enemies. Okay. So the word for enemy or has to do with hostility has to do with this word here in Hebrew. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to see here. I'm going to take two letters outside of this word for enemy, and I'm going to put it right here. And I want you to tell me what that word is. Okay. And I will put it over here in English. What is an of? Because that's what this word is. When I say of or abba, what am I talking about?
Yeah, we know this father.
It's father. Good, Dawid. So when the Most High talks about fathers, when he talks about avot, I'll write avot up here for us right quick. It has the word father in it, right? And avot is your ancestors in English, right? So avot. So the word for enemy is the one who has it has to do with the father, okay? Because also the letters right here, aleph and a bet, okay? This yod right here means hand, all right? So the word for enemy is oyev, and I'll put it here in English so you'll know what I'm talking about. Oyev, okay? Oyev, which they would know as in English as Job, okay? Job's name is called Eov or Oyev. And Oyev means enemy. Just a little side note. And so Job thought that the Most High was treating him like an enemy because of everything that he was suffering, all the pain that he was going through. Okay. Yah has sent us to the lands of our enemies. An enemy and someone who's hostile is one who's hostile towards the Father. This letter right here, the yod, has to do with the hand. Anyone who raises their hand against their father or has come against the father. The hand in Hebrew has work. That's what a hand does. A hand does work. Okay. That's the function of the hand is to do work. Right. So when he's talking about someone who's an enemy, is someone who's using their hand or what you would say their work. They're working against the father. Okay. The father is the father of, he's the strength of what? What's the father the strength of? It's right in his name.
The
Aleph
tent,
is
the
strength.
house.
Yeah, it's the house. Thank you, Dawid. The house is the bet right here. Right here. This is the strength. That's an ox. And this is the tent. So when you're talking about the father is the strength of the house. So when someone's coming against the father, they're coming against the house. They're coming against the father's family. They're coming against the tent. Okay. So when he sends us here, he sent us to a place that their hand is to go against the father's family, which is the tent, the household. That's the reason why you're sent here. Okay. You're sent here so you can learn that you and I and our ancestors have been working against our father. We have used our hands to go against our father. You would say, well, how did we use our hands? He tells us through chapter number 25 that you're supposed to be able to give to the poor. You're supposed to let the land rest. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that. You're supposed to release your slaves every 7 years. You're supposed to, return inheritance and possession back to the people so they can be gathered back to their families. The land has to get her Shabbats for the land. And everybody's supposed to go back to their family and go back to their possession. But everyone's been working against what the Most High said. They're going against the Father. You see? So that's what's going on. When the Most High said it's hostility, and the one who's raised up and come against the Most High is the one who's come against the Father, which is the one who is the strength of the house. Yah is the strength of our family. You understand? Okay. The second yod that you have right here means plurality. These are more. So when he says enemies, this is your oyave. These are your enemies. So Yah has sent us here to our enemies. And your enemy is going against him too. And they're going against his family. Do you understand? So when Yah's talking about in hostility, when he says I'm in hostility against you, what he's saying is I'm going to let your enemies defeat you. Chapter number 26 said, I'll send 5 of you against 100. And I'll send 100 of you against 1,000. And your enemies will not be able to stand up to you. But then the curse is that you won't be able to stand up to your enemies. They'll defeat you. So Yah has allowed our enemies to defeat us. And thus, you and I are still facing hostilities. And the only reason why you and I are still facing hostilities, as you can see, there's a video that came out. I don't know if you saw it, but it happened right here in my city, down the street from where I live, where this kid was in school, and this police officer, she was punching him straight in his face. He's a kid. She's punching him in the face, and he was trying to cover his face up. Hostilities are still happening. So why is that still happening? It's happening because the Most High has allowed our enemies to defeat us. Nothing bad can happen to us. No pain that we experience can happen to us unless the Most High has authorized it. So when he says, I'm going against you, don't try to escape that and say, no, you're not, because I'm reading the Torah. No, you're not, because I'm praying. No, you're not. You're not going against me. You're for me. No, for the whole entire community. You understand? Yah looks at Israel as one person, the whole community as one. Do you understand? So yeah, we might have our individual successes, but when we're talking about our group, we're talking about Yah's people, we're talking about his family, we're talking about our whole entire house. So if one Israelite is being beaten and misused and going through all this kind of stuff and is poor and is sick and all this, it affects our whole entire community. And you and I have to stop separating ourselves from our people because they're his people too. Okay. So Yah is showing us that I'm still hostile against you because you're still in the lands of your enemies. You're oyavetim. You're still around them. Okay. So the only reason why they're over you is because Yahweh has given them power over you. Among the nations, you will perish. The land of your enemies will devour you. That is from our Creator. Okay. I bolded this letter right here. Again, this bet, because it means among the goyim. So the word for among right here in Hebrew is this letter bet right here that you see in this Hebrew word, the bet right here. Right here. And goyim right here is nations. Okay. So the reason why I kind of made this a little fatter right here is because I wanted to bring out to the point that we're in the house of our enemies. Okay. Because the letter bet means house. This letter right here means house and tent. And if it's talking house and a tent, then it has to do with the family. You understand? So when Yah says, I'm going to send you among the nations right here by Goyim, I'm sending you into the house and I'm sending you to the family of your enemies. They're only not only your enemy, but they're a family of your father. They're a family, enemy of your family. They're enemy of your father. And you live in their home. And you worship their gods because you're there. You go into the grocery stores, their gods are in there. Their pagan rituals, their churches are in their land. Their synagogues are in this land. So Yah has still allowed us to be among them. That means that you live in the nations, in their houses, in their families. You understand? So that's who you live around. So going back to what he told us that how we supposed to treat each other. Remember, he said when you have a Hebrew that's a slave and he's a slave to the nations, you don't supposed to sit back idly while he's being mistreated. So it tells us that the Most High said, I send you among the nations, and when you get there, you're going to perish in complete, um, I would say, I want to get the right word, in complete harmony. That's in chapter number 25 that says, don't allow this to happen to your brother. Versus now, Yah is allowing it to happen to us. So that means that we didn't do what he said in chapter number 25. We didn't protect our brothers. We didn't set them free. We abused them. We weren't doing right things. We weren't being just in our business and our handlings with one another. And as a result of that, Yah says, I'm going to send you among the nations. You're going to live in their houses. You're going to live in their families, and you're going to perish in them in those lands. You understand? That's why he's saying, I'm going, and they're going to devour you. So as long as you're living in their lands, and as long as you're there, you're going to perish and you're going to be devoured. Period. So ask yourself the question, is Yahweh really going against us? Yes. As a people, yes. He's still going against us. And you are in the house, in the lands, in the precincts, in the regions, in the states of your enemies. And it's not until Yah brings us out from these people, then that's when Yahweh turns his face towards us. You're not going to get this kind of teaching. They're not going to teach us this. Remember I said, no one ever told me to teach. I decided to do this. Most High didn't tell me to teach. This is what I want to do. And I'll tell you the reason why. I want to do this because I don't want our people. I love our people. I love you. And I love me. And I love our families. And I want to tell us what the Most High said. I want anybody lying to us. Matter of fact, the Karaites, they call them the Karaites, the Jews of America. You probably heard of them. They call the Ashkenazis. You got the Sephardims. You got all these different, sects of Jews. What I found out is that those families, like the Karaites, they're nothing but a family of people. That's all they are. They're not they call themselves a Jewish organization, but on the down low, they are a family. You understand? And so they care about their family. So they have their synagogue and they teach their people and they go through and teach them the language. They write books on how to understand things and they do all that. And you know what? No one ever told them to do that. They just decided to do it. So that's what I'm doing. We are a family. We are our own people. We don't need to join other organizations or feel like we need to be part of anyone else. We don't need to follow anyone else's practices. What we need to do is to come together and figure this out for ourselves and say, okay, well, this is the way we're going to do it. Do you understand? So, because they're using our text. That's all they're doing. And then they give their pronunciations on it. It's our text. So don't get it confused. Okay. That was just a little side note, but here, the next word that I wanted to share with you is the one about the kana, where it talks about the heart. And what it means is that he says, I want you to humble yourself. The word for humility there is kana. Kana means to be quiet. So the humility aspect here is not only just be, browbeat yourself and be so hard on yourself. What the Most High is literally telling us to do in order to heat wadu, this is part of the heat wadu. Don't forget, we're talking about the heat wadu, is to come to a place of quietness. Okay. The quietness is a time of reflection. That's what humility is for us, that we have to do. We must do this. In order to properly um, reflect upon something, you need some quietness around. You need to get rid of all the noise. In order for you to understand that, to really think and reflect upon what has been done, you need to separate yourself so you can heat wadu, so you can come to this on your own. You understand? I might be sharing it with you, but it's still your responsibility to reflect upon what's being said here and go back and research it. Okay. Leviticus chapter number 26, starting verse number 40. And you read all the way down, and you can read every word that I said. You can go to Bible Hub and you'll see every word that I'm putting up here right now. Okay. I'm just trying to help us out so we can understand. So you can go look at it, you can do your research, and you can, make some comparisons, say, oh, okay, I see it this way, or I see it a little bit differently, Akika. But here, so kana and humility is to deal with the idea of being quiet, having a quietness of one's mind, and be able to reflect upon what's happened. The quietness of the mind, and here was interesting. He said that, I needed you guys need to humble yourselves when you're heat wadu. In order to come to this confession on your own, you have to be quiet. But it said that the heart was still uncircumcised, which was interesting. So even though we may have an uncircumcised heart, there's still something the Most High is asking for that uncircumcised heart to do, which is to quiet down and to reflect. So you don't need a circumcision in the heart, which is the mind, in order to pull off the heat wadu, in order to pull off the confession, in order to admit that the Most High is doing this. You can be blind, and the Most High is saying, you don't have all the answers. Okay? If you want to know what an uncircumcised mind is, it's kind of like having your mind covered, just like a male's organ being covered. You're covered. It's like having a bag over your head, or put something, a dark jacket over your head, only your head, and you can't see anything. You can't. So Yah's letting us know that you don't have all the answers. You don't have the answers. Yah hasn't opened our mind up to everything, but he's saying, but you still have the ability to see this, though. Even though your mind is uncircumcised, you still have the ability to do this. You may not have the right answer from your mouth, but you still can do this. You understand? You may not be able to say the right things. You might not even think everything properly, but he's saying this right here, you can still do this. So humility for us is not difficult. It's a time of quietness and reflection. And that's what you and I must do. Again, spoken in Deuteronomy chapter number 30, it talks about when you start thinking about what's happened to you. That's reflection. That's humility. That's where it begins. When you start thinking, but you have to do that in a quiet space. Because if you're not quiet and you're listening to all these different YouTube videos, you're listening to all these different people, and everyone's saying, no, no, he's not mad at you. He's this and that. And then you can miss the whole thing. You can miss the whole thing by listening to someone else instead of coming to this on your own. So I'm, encouraging all of us to do that. The final part of this is the yirtzu, okay? The yirtzu means to approve. And what he's talking about, when he talks about yirtzu, the awonam, which means that I want you to approve of something. He said, well, what is approve? The Most High is talking about, I want you to approve or to accept your guilt. Your awon, the perversity, that's what awon is. I want you to approve of and accept that your mind and your thoughts and your actions have been distorted. I want you to say that your ancestors, your mother, your father, your grandparents, and everybody else that I gave my law, statutes, and commandments to, they have turned around and perverted what I said from the time that I brought them out of Egypt until today. It's been bad ever since. And that's what's something that you and I must do. So the yirtzu for us is we have to come to the acceptance and the approval of what Yah was saying. I approve of this message. The approval right here is in this word called ratsu right here. Comes from ratsa. Okay. And the yirtzu is, again, this Y and this U right here is you. You guys, they have to come to this ratzah. You have to come to this. You have to acknowledge this. Okay. So in Christianity, you acknowledge your guilt, but you're asking someone else to take your place. The Most High is not accepting that. He's not going to allow you and I to escape by someone else's guilt. And there, no one else is going to take your guilt. You have to accept your own guilt. And you have to accept that your ancestors hated the Most High and that they loathed, they despised his laws, his statutes, and commandments. If you read your Torah portion, you would know that, right? And that's the importance of reading and studying. He says, rather, it is for your own crimes that separate you from your Elohim. Your sins have hidden his face from you so that he doesn't hear. Okay. So, again, going back to what was taught earlier and a few weeks ago, it talks about this chasm between, right? Meaning from the east all the way to the west, there's a space between these two places. Okay. And remember, I said to you that the Most High wanted us to know the difference between something. He wanted us to be able to understand that there's a big, huge space between this. Where I said over here was holiness, or what they would say set apartness, and that which is common. There's a huge chasm between the holy, I'll just use English for right now, and the common. Okay. Something that's very common, just like it is from the east to the west. So again, the Most High is saying that when you talk about the relationship between you and him, okay, he's saying that it is your crimes. And matter of fact, your crimes are in Hebrew, which we have learned today, is called your awon, which is your perversity. They're using the word crimes in English for awon, which is your twistedness. So our crimes, a lot of people think when it says your crimes, you think I had to kill somebody only to do this. Yes, Zanya.
It's gotten to the point, like when we talk about like guilt and because what you're teaching is so good because it helps us to align our thoughts and deeds and how we feel, what we need in order to grow closer to the Most High and to have our repentance matter, right? So it's real beautiful what you're teaching, but also sometimes so much has happened to our people here, and
Mhm.
it's like it's like the longer I lived, the more knowledge comes out about what our people have endured
Mhm.
and still endured. You were talking about an incident near your house, but
Mhm.
every morning we wake up and if you turn on the news, you'll hear about our men that were killed during the night and nobody
Mhm.
really cares but us
Nobody
maybe.
cares.
Sometimes even
Mhm.
we're annoyed to it. So it gets to the point where it's like, I can't even listen to it anymore. I can't even
Yeah.
hear about it anymore. It's just like I'm so I'm so filled up with the tragicness of our
Yeah.
situation. I can't even hear it
Mhm.
anymore. So when you're talking, it's like sometimes it's like, how do I really align myself with everything and even guilt when we're so oppressed still, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just wanted to say
After all
that.
this time. Oh, thank you for that contribution. That's huge. Um, and what you're saying is spot on. And I want to be very clear that I'm not saying that, you know, that we're not being, mistreated or being oppressed. But we have to remember that the Most High is saying, I am the one who has done this to you. I'm the one who's allowed this to happen to you. And the reason why it happened to you and it's happening to you is because of your ancestors. It's because they failed to listen to what the Most High has said. So when he talks about, again, this awon or these crimes or this perversion, our crimes is what puts this chasm, as you can see in my illustration, the holy versus common on the top, as far as the east is from the west. And there's that space in between. That's the chasm. Okay. It's a space between us. It's a distance. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on this side where it says holy, I'm going to put, um, it's our Elohim, right? Our Elohim is set apart, right? And he's saying that our crimes is what caused this space between us. Okay. So if you look at Elohim and holy on the east, and then you go over to the west, you see common. The common part over here is what you would call our won. Our won is over here. That's what we do. So make the connection and an alignment with your mind to let us know that you and I are supposed to be set apart. And there is, and our won is what, excuse me, I mean, move our won to the right place. I'm sorry. Our won is this. That's the space. Our won has keeping distance between us and our Elohim. That's what our won is. You are over here. Yah is on the other side. And he's saying, when you and I don't acknowledge his holiness and we don't do what he asks us to do, there's going to be some space that's put between us. And what's caused this space is our perversity of thought, because you and I cannot draw near to the creator with this type of thinking. Your thoughts and your actions is what causes you to have space and distance between you and Elohim. So I'll ask us one more time. Are we near the Most High? And the answer is no. But does it mean that he doesn't want to be near us? He wants to be near you and I. He wants us to be close to him. He doesn't want us to be common. If he's holy and we're his servant and we're his people and he's our father, we're supposed to be kadosh. And we're supposed to be learning a certain way. And we're supposed to be treating people a certain way. We're supposed to execute judgment a certain way. But you and I have put this space between us and him because we failed to listen. And as a result of that, your sins here on the bottom right here says have hidden his face from you. Yah has literally turned his face away from you. So he doesn't hear you talking to the nation of Israel. If Yah was listening to us, okay, let's just do it. Let's put it to the test. Let's you and I right now ask Yah to come and get us and take us out of this land tomorrow. Would he listen to us? Would he hear you? Would he hear me? Nope. Have you asked Yah to come and get you? I have. That's been part of my prayer for a long time. I've cried with many tears. Okoti Azanya, I've cried. Like, hey, this is terrible what's happening to our people. What's going on? Come deliver us, save us, get us out of here. Yah he hasn't responded. He hasn't responded.
So
See?
can I
Yes.
ask a question?
Sure.
So if he hadn't put this, I mean, if this space wasn't between us, the alternative, as a nation, he would have had to destroy us. I mean, it was like,
Yeah.
look, if I don't put this space, I would have had to destroy you. So I got to chastise you in order to correct you. At least that's what I'm getting.
No, that's exactly true, Dawid. So think about what Dawid is talking about, everyone. So look at how Yah uses your crimes and your awon to spare you. He says, I'll punish you for this. It's better to have Yah turn his, this is why he wants us to admit it. Because if you don't admit that Yah's turned his face against you, then that means that you're thinking that Yah's a putz and that he's some little pushover and that, he's still with you and that he's lying when he says that you're under a curse. He's lying in Deuteronomy chapter number 28. He's lying when he says that I'm going to send a sword after you. He's lying when he says I'm going to send you the enemies. He's lying when he says you're going to be diseased. He's lying when he says you won't stand before your enemies. Why can't Yah be true? Why can't we just accept our guilt? Why can't we accept the fact that it's our guilt? It is our sins. It is our crimes. It is our perversity that has caused this, for Yah to do this to us. If you and I were to accept this, then perhaps maybe he would turn his face. So the question is, if he's hidden his face from us, then why are we saying that he's blessed us while we're still in the land of our enemies? Why are we saying that? It's because we're not understanding the Torah. We're not listening to him. This is part of the formula. This is the solution to our problems. Ezekiel 39 is very, very clear. You can read it for yourself. It says, "For thus I will display my glory among the nations." There's that among the nations again. That means in the house of your enemies, so that all the nations will see my judgment when I execute it, and my hand when I lay it on them. Talking about the nations. From that day on, the house of Israel will know that I am Yahweh, their Elohim. What? While the Goyim, the nations, will know that the house of Israel went into exile because of their guilt. That's your awon. You have to be in agreement with Yah. Are you in agreement that is your guilt is the reason why you went into exile? You just haphazardly just pop up here. This ain't no accident. Yah said they went into exile because of their guilt, their awon, because of their perverseness, their twistedness, because they broke faith with me all right here. This scripture, and this what he's talking to the prophet, is exactly everything that he said to us in our Torah portion in chapter number 26. You are among the nations. Among the nations. So Yah has sent us among the nations so he can display his glory. He's using you and I. He's using our guilt, our faithlessness, in order to bring about his glory. The weightiness and the majesty of Yah. And so the individuals that admit that Yah has turned his face from us. Listen, he says that they broke faith with me. That's the ma'al right there, ma'alu, that I mentioned to us in our hitwadu. Breaking faith is not being faithful to the Most High. That means betraying the Most High. We betrayed him. And so that I hid my face. So he hid his face because of their guilt. He hid his face because of our unfaithfulness, our ma'alu, what we have done, the ma'alu of our fathers, our avotam, their fathers, our fathers. He's hid his face from them and handed them over to their adversaries, which is your enemies. And they fell by the sword, all of them, which he's making reference to, hey, I'm sending the sword out from Har Sinai, because that's where I talked to you from. That's what he said. The name Har Sinai or Mount Korev has to do with the sword. So Yah says, I'm going to send out a sword of vengeance upon them, and I'm going to go and avenge myself on them. So when Yah talks about hiding his face from us, he's literally saying that hiding his face is exile. Exile. So when I'm telling you, when my Most High says I'm exiling you and I'm hiding my face from you, he's telling you the reason why. So in order for us to change our future, which we can do, or change our past, is through going through our future, is changing how we look at it. If you would, and I would admit that we're guilty, we would admit that our fathers and ourselves have been unfaithful and betrayed Yah and left him. And this is the reason for our exile, and this is the reason why he's turned his face away from us. He didn't do it for no reason. So we have to confess, and we have to admit, and we have to know what that means. You have to know what your guilt means. You have to know its perversity of thought and action. You have to know the ma'al is you failed to see the authority of the Most High. Breaking faith with Yah is failing to see the authority, failing to listen. And because of this, we're in the hands of our enemies, where you're forced to listen to the people that hate you. Your bread comes from them. Your security comes from them. Whether they decide to show you favor or not comes from them. And we have individuals in the nation of Israel saying that the Most High has blessed us. Did he bless us with our enemies? Did he bless us to be under their hands and at their care? And did he bless us to be the ones that they would beat in the streets? Did he bless us with the ones who would torture us? They do not have your best interest at hand. It's not until Yahweh reveals himself that you and I would be able to see the face of Yahweh towards us again. But what precedes this is the judgment. So he's done this so he can teach them. On that day on, Israel will know that I'm Yahweh. That is the whole thing. What do you mean that they're going to know I'm Yahweh? Why? Because I brought judgment? No, they're going to know I'm Yahweh because every time he said a command, he said, I'm Yahweh. He said in chapter number 25 and 26, then you'll know that I'm Yahweh, that I mean what I'm saying to you. So if you heat wadu and you say and you accept your guilt, you say that you hated me, you say that I'm going against you, you say you broke faith with me, you say your ancestors did, then you will know that I'm Yahweh. I'm the one, he says, that has done this to you. And he's going to tell them that I'm the one because the nations don't even know. The nations are going to know who Yahweh is after he does what he does for us because of what we've done to him. They don't know the intimate details of why Yah has done this to us. They don't know. So he has to show them. So let's be clear about what his face is. He said, I hid my face. Panai. Yah's face, when he says that I hid my face from them and he's turned his face away from us, it means that there is no restoration, blessing, or protection. As you saw in your Torah portion, it says, when my face is towards you, you're restored. You have blessing, you have land, you have vegetation, you have fruits, you have seasons, you have possessions, you get your father's ancestral land, you can have rights of redemption. Right now, you don't have any of that. I'll protect you from your enemies. You don't have any protection from your enemies. You're going to fall before your enemies. So don't let anybody deceive you when they say that the Most High is with them. They're lying. Or the Most High is with the children of Israel. No, he's not. If you're religious, he is. But if you're going to be for real about it, you will know that he's not, because there's no restoration, there's no blessing, and there's no protection. When we're in the right standing with the Most High, these things are there. He said you can go leave your land and nobody ever crosses over your land. You have nothing to worry about. You don't even have to worry about the wild animals. They ain't gonna even come and bereave you of your children if you do what I'm telling you. The moment that you don't, protection's out the door. The moment you stop doing what I told you to do, you can forget about protection. You can forget about that. The moment you stop doing what I'm saying, you can forget about the blessing of the land, because I told you I'll give you the rain in its seasons. Chapter number 26, the first verse. You can forget about restoration of being restored back to your family and restored to your land, and restored to your possession, restored to your house. You can forget about all that. So who are we playing a game with? See, remember last week we were talking about how these people are here playing the Levitical game. Now we got the people playing the blessing game, the Yah's with us. Yes, I treated them as their uncleanness and crimes deserved, and I hid my face from them. Ezekiel chapter number 39. Last verse, you can read it. See? He's only giving us what we deserve. You understand? So hiding his face, again, is exile. That's what hiding my face means. When you're in exile, you don't get any protections that you had when you were in your land, period. Everything is going to happen when Yah decides that it's going to happen. It's based on Yah's calendar. It's based on his time. Just like he said, the Shabbat's going to lay, the land is going to lay desolate, and she's going to enjoy her Shabbats as long as they're not on the land until she's fully paid. Then that's what's going to happen. Yes, Azanya.
Okay, it also says in Wakira, if you could get some context for me, especially in the language that this was written in, where uh, he says, yet in spite of this, I'm in 44, verse 44, yet in spite of this, when they are in the land of their enemies, I will not reject them or abhor them as to destroy them completely, breaking my covenant with them. So, I mean, because it just seems so contrary to everything that was just said. I'm an enemy
Okay.
to, uh, I'm hostile towards them. But yet he says he's not going to break the covenant, and so to destroy them. That it says specifically in Deuteronomy 28, where it says, "And you shall put a yoke around your neck until you are destroyed." So, are
Mhm.
these language issues that seem to have a contradiction? Is this because of language issues?
Yeah,
And could you explain on that, please?
absolutely. Um, I'm going to explain that right now. I'm not going to wait. There's no delay. Okay. So we're going to come back. We're going to come back to this in just a moment because this is like almost at the end of our class. So let me go ahead and we're going to go right to what you're talking about. Let's go, and I'm going to show you exactly what she read because that's a great question, and we need these answers. Okay. And it is a language issue. It's an issue because from an English standpoint, we're taking these words like destroy and so forth and so on, and we're not putting them in the proper context, right? So the proper context here, and she talked about verse number 44, where he says, I won't loathe them or I won't, right? And so one is called Ma'as and the other one is called, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not there. One is called Ma'as for sure. And the other one is called, I think Go'al. Oh yeah, Go'al. One is called Go'al. So let me go there right quick. Verse number 44. Hopefully you can see. Can you see my screen, everyone? Yes?
Okay.
Okay. Kane. Okay, good.
Yes, yes, yes.
All right. So in context, so 44. Now we'll start and we'll look at what we just been reading. So 43, I'll just read it in English right quick so we can get right to the point. It says, "In the land shall be left empty, and of course the land will enjoy Shabbos, like I just mentioned. And it will be abandoned without them, and they will accept." That's the yiritsu right there, their guilt, which you and I have been talking about. Let me just make a little bit right clicker here. So we got the yiritsu, the ete awon, meaning their guilt. And I'm reading from right to left. And it says, because, because my judgments, they ma'as, right? Here it is, ma'asu, which I brought to our attention. I said ma'as, and here it is. Here's the ma'as. The ma'as is the despising. They despised my judgments, right? So this is he's explaining the reason why, or the result of them accepting. Okay, he says the land is going to lay abandoned without them, and they will accept their guilt. Okay, because of my judgments, they despised, and my statutes they abhorred, the Ga'ala, which again, here's the Ga'al, that they've abhorred, or meaning they hated, okay, their soul. So their souls are the ones who rejected and despised and hated my statutes and my judgments, which he tells us in chapter number 25 that this is what we're supposed to do. Now, going on to verse number 44, he then tells us what Azania said, and yet, meaning, and also, let me show you, also this. So this is also this, and now he's going to tell us also this. It says for this, but it's really also. Also this, when they are, that means when they exist in the land, right, of their Oyavehim, which is their enemies, well, he's said, I'm going to do something. I am not going to, absolutely never, this is absolutely never, low, let me see. This is absolutely never, and then he tells you that I'm not going to do to them what they did to me. Okay. So they have that word right there, cast them away, meaning despise them. I'm not going to despise them. I'm not going to hate them. Okay. After they admit their guilt. Okay. I'm not going to hate them, right? While they're in the lands of their enemies, I'm not going to hate them. I'm not going to despise them. Okay. So that word right there is ma'as, and let's look it up just so you can verify. It says cast them away. But look at all the definitions for ma'as. Ma'as has the definition, if I'm not mistaken, to be despised or rejected. There you go. Here's ma'as. Ma'as is abhor, cast away, contemn, despise, disdain, reject, or refuse. Okay. So I'm not going to reject you. I'm not going to do that. Right? While you're in the lands of your enemies. That's clear. So I'm not going to do that. And he says, never. Here's a never again, absolutely never. Never am I going to abhor. There's a Gaal right here, and this is hatred or loathe them. I'm not going to hate them. Okay? I'm not going to hate them. I'm not going to loathe them. I'm not going to abhor them. Okay? Loathing is hatred. So, or detest them. I'm not going to do this to them. So, in both of these words, which is ma'as and Gaal, he's saying that that may be the case of me saying that I will not completely destroy them. Because guess what this word right here is? He says utterly destroy, but this means completely. That right there, melakolot, that means to completely destroy them and break my covenant. Talking about, I'm not going to break my covenant, the covenant that I made with them in Mount Sinai. Okay. Nowhere in this text did he say that I'm not going to be hostile towards you. So Gaal means I hate you. I told you the Most High doesn't hate us. The Most High is not going to reject us. What he's doing is he's allowing us to experience the hostility. When it says the Most High is hostile towards us, I'll say it again. His hostility is bringing us into the lands of our enemies. That's Yah's hostility. It's not his hatred, it's his hostility. He's angry. Remember the beginning verse we had? He's not angry with me. Yah's angry with us. And even though he might be angry with us, he still hasn't decided. He said, I'm not going to destroy them all. Okay. I'm not going to destroy all of them. So to answer your question, his hostility has nothing to do with being rejected and has nothing to do with being hated. He said, I won't do this to them. And the ones he's talking to is the ones, he said, I won't destroy them all. Okay. I'm not going to put an end to all of them. The kolotam right here. I'm not going to completely destroy all of them, but he is going to destroy or continue. He's not going to allow the people that have gone against him to continue. But he says after they admit it. So the individuals that who have hit Wadu, those individuals right there will not be destroyed. But it doesn't mean that he's not mad, and it doesn't mean that he's not angry. So there's no contradiction. He's just letting us know that his hostility towards us is the fact that you're still in your enemy's hands. You're still in if Yah wasn't hostile to us, then he would not allow hostility to happen to us.
Okay,
Does
so the
that make sense?
caveat is, excuse me, I'm sorry. The caveat is hitwadu, which we can't see in the English language.
Mm-hmm.
The caveat is, but it kind of makes sense if you're just looking at the whole passage. You know, it kind of makes sense what you're saying, because otherwise it really would seem like a contradiction just in the English language. But we know that Yah doesn't contradict himself or say anything that he doesn't mean. He cannot lie, right? So that's why I asked for you to expound
Correct.
further So the caveat is when we do these things, when just as you are teaching here, but I think all of us knew that we had to confess for our sins and the sins of our ancestors and so forth. I mean, you put it into great context. So once we confess these things, then that's when the brunt of the destruction comes off of us. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because it's right here in verse number 40. Here's your word right here that we begin our lesson on, hitwadu. It's right here. Okay. That's it. By hitwadu. Right here. And it says, and if they confess, that's a hitpael. And you can look this up. The hitpael is an action, it's a verb, it's an action that they must do. And they have to acknowledge and confess. And then this is an arrow pointing directly to their onam. Okay. So the owanam or the owam is what they have to do. And so everything that I mentioned to us in our teaching today was in this verse, in verse number 40 and 41. I didn't get to 42, 43, 44, and on because there's so much, but this is the brunt of everything. Because he says, I brought you into the lands of your enemies, right? So what precedes this verse is verse number 39 that says that, and they are left few in number, right? They shall waste away in their Onam, in the lands of their enemies, and also the iniquities in Onam of their fathers, which are with them. They shall waste away. They're wasting away. So just by being sent to the lands of our enemies, this is where we're perishing. And so Yah's hostility towards us is by saying, when you're still being in your lands of your enemies, that's Yah's hostility. That's not his hatred. Yah didn't send us to the land of our enemies because we hated him. He said, while they're in the lands of their enemies, I'm not going to hate them. I'm not going to reject them like they did me. He said, you guys hated me and you rejected me. Your ancestors hated me and they rejected me. So the same words that were used for what he said, I'm not going to do to you, you did to him. Right? So verse number 43 says, they hated me. Yes, Azania.
So maybe sometimes, because I know that when you look at the blessings of the Most High, none of them can happen outside of the land. They're inexplicably tied to the land. But I do feel like there is some mercy in this walk. There is some mercy in knowing the Most High of the confession, which I know my husband and I we do when we believe. And so maybe that's sometimes what people mean when they say that they feel uh, blessed by the Most High. And maybe in this walk, what they're trying to say is the caveat that you just pointed out, that they feel some relief and that they're experiencing some mercy from Him since we came into this walk. And even just knowing your identity is a great mercy. It's a great mercy that he didn't have to do. But it's a great
Thank you.
mercy because ignorance is horrible, especially when, all these things are coming at you and your people. Like my husband said when he first was awakened, he said, wow, I just thought we were a bad luck people. And that's a horrible thing to walk around with and having your spirit. And so just knowing who you are brings a sense of relief. It truly does. So
Oh yeah, praise be to Moni. Yeah, I hope everybody's listening to what Zanya said, because what she's saying is 100% spot on. I don't want to get anyone confused. When I say that Yah's hostile, remember the language in English is like, we think hostility is like, he's being personally aggressive. No, that's not what he's saying. He's saying, I delivered you into the lands of hostility. The moment that you're there, okay, so he's taking ownership of the hostility that's happening to us, because I'm the one, he says, that sent you into hostility. I want you to acknowledge that that's my hostility, that I'm angry with you. If I wasn't angry with you, you wouldn't be in the lands of your enemies. That's what he's saying. If I'm not angry with you, he says, but I don't reject you while you're there. And then he's talking more specifically to the people. If you remember, he says, he said, you guys hated me, right? In verse number 43, he said, they despised me, my judgments, and their souls hated my statutes, hated me. He says, but even though they hated me, right? I'm not going to hate them. I'm not going to hate them. Why? Because I'm not going to cast them away. Why? Why? Why is he not going to cast us away? He's not going to cast us away because you and I acknowledged. That's who he's talking to. So he's talking to the Azania. He's talking to Elder Bill. He's talking to Akika. He's talking to Dawid. He's talking to Mashalo. He's talking to Claudette. He's talking to Emiya. He's talking to Kobe. He's talking to all of us who said, Yahweh, you're the one who sent us into the lands of hostility to our enemies. Your hostility towards us and your anger towards us is by sending us out of our land. Your hostility towards us is that we're not able to defend our enemy, defeat our enemies. You're the one who's going to have to defeat them for us. We understand that it is Yahweh who has done this. That's the whole point. So we acknowledge that he's the one who's done it. Because if you look at the bottom of 44, he says, I will not abhor them or utterly destroy them to break my covenant with them, the Etam, for ki ani Yahweh, I am Yahweh, I am their Elohim. So being in a covenant with Yah is what's caused us to receive the mercy that Azania is talking about, to receive the compassion that Azania mentioned. That's why he's doing what he's doing. But in that same covenant, if you go against the Most High, you're right. The results of your disobedience is going to be hostility. So if you're still experiencing hostility, Most High saying, when you're with me, there is no hostility. When you're not with me, there's hostility. When my face is towards you, there's no hostility. When my face is with you, there's no hostility. That's what he's talking about. In your Haftarah, in conclusion, it says this. We'll start in verse number 10, and hopefully this can add more context to what the Most High is saying. He says, when you tell this people all that I have said, and they ask you, why has Yahweh decreed all this terrible disaster against us? What is our awon? What is our iniquity? What is our kata? What is our sin that we have committed against Yahweh Elohim? Then you are to say to them, it is because your ancestors abandoned me, says Yahweh, and went after other gods, and serving and worshiping them, but abandoned me and did not keep my Torah. That is the answer. So when we ask, well, why is all this happening? He said, because of this. You have done worse than your ancestors. For look, each of you lives according to the stubbornness of his own evil heart, so that you don't listen to me. He's talking to the group that was in Jerusalem at that time. Therefore, I'm thrusting you out of this land into a land that you have not known, neither you nor your ancestors. There you will serve other gods day and night, for I will show you no favor. This is a pattern. I will show you no favor. Okay? Context. You are not going to be able to continue in this land. You're out of here. And when you get there, you're going to serve their gods day and night. Therefore, says Yahweh, and this is a prophetic declaration, the day will come when people will no longer swear as Yahweh lives, who brought the people of Israel out of the land of Egypt, but as Yahweh lives, who brought the people of Israel out of the land to the north and all the countries where he drove them. For I will bring them back to their own land, which I gave to their ancestors. That's prophetic. Okay. Look, says Yahweh, I will send for many fishermen, and they will fish for them. Afterwards, I will send for many hunters, and they will hunt for them, every mountain and every hill out of the caves and the rocks. The Christian narrative has taken this and said that the fishermen are the pastors and the people who are looking to gather the people of Israel. But Yah's not saying that. He's saying, I'm hunting them. I'm going to kill them for what they have done. Then he says, for I see their ways, all their ways, and they're not hidden from me. Their crimes are not concealed from my eyes. That's why he's hunting for them, because they're running from the Most High. As a people, we've been running from Yah throughout all the world. And that's how we ended up in the four corners of the world. Yah has been chasing us, like he said, with his sword. He says, for I see all their ways. They're not hidden from me. Their crimes are not concealed from my eyes. First, I will pay them double for their crimes and sins, because they have defiled the land which is mine, which he told us on our Torah portion, that the land is never to be sold. It's his land. For they have filled my heritage with the corpse of their horrors and abominations. Yahweh, my strength and my fortress. Now, this is what Jeremiah is saying. He's prophetically giving us a clue when he says, Yahweh, my strength and my fortress, a fortress and my refuge in a time of trouble. So now he's prophesying to us about a time of trouble. And he's telling us that Yahweh is a place where he's going to hide when this trouble comes. The nations will come to you from the ends of the earth, saying, our ancestors inherited nothing but lies, futile idols, completely useless. What? All the places that Yah sent us to that we're worshiping their gods. These are what the nations are going to say. So remember, we read in Ezekiel that he said that I'm going to cause the nations to know that I sent Israel into exile because of their crimes and because I hid my face from them. That's the reason why they went in. He says, can a person make himself gods? In fact, they're not gods at all. Therefore, I will make them know once and for all. I will make them know that my power and my might. Then they will know that my name is Yahweh. That's when they're going to know. When are they going to know? What his name is Yahweh. What do you mean my name is Yahweh? They're going to know my power and my might. They're going to know that I'm the one who sent Israel into exile. They're going to know that Israel is my servant. They're going to know that I punished them for their crimes and their sins. They're going to know that I am Yahweh. I'm the one who went into a covenant with them. They're going to know I'm the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They're going to know the set apartness of Yahweh's name. They're going to know. You see? So, Yah's hostility towards his people is in the fact that they're still in the hands of their enemies. When Yahweh decides that the time is up, where they no longer have to serve their enemies, that means that Yahweh's face is turned towards us. When Yah's face is not towards us, that means that Yah is showing hostility. It's not that he hates us. It means that he's very, very angry and he's mad with us because of our actions and our behavior. Okay. So again, in conclusion, it says that, hey, in my time, there is a time when Yahweh is going to do these things. There's a time when Yah is going to return. There's a time when Yah is going to regather us. There's a time when Yah is going to restore us. And we don't know when that time is. But we know that that time is coming. Okay? That's what we do know. Because Yah says, the time that I will choose, I will answer you. And on that day of salvation, I will help you. Isaiah 49:8. Okay? So we know that. So he doesn't hate us. And he's not going to reject us. He is showing us mercy. In conclusion, we must make those 7 confessions. And here they are. Everything that I mentioned in Hebrew and the thoughts go behind it. Our thoughts and actions are twisted. We betrayed and left Yahweh. We've walked in hostility toward Yahweh. Yahweh's face is turned against us right now. Yahweh executed his judgment against us. We must quiet our uncircumcised minds and we must accept our guilt. If we do these 7 things right here, then you're going to be straight. If you confess these 7 things, you're going to be straight. If you say that Yah's face is not turned against you, you haven't hit Wadu. This is complete. 7 means complete. If you haven't done this according to what he's asked of us, and you do 6 of the confessions, and the 7th one you just can't handle, Yah's saying that you're not listening to me. You're not listening to what I said to you. This is what you're going to have to do. So make sure you understand this. Yah's hostility is Yah was saying, I put you in exile. That's what his hostility is. Our hostility is, he said that you hated me. I didn't even put that up here, but you hated me. You hated my laws, my statutes. Your soul hates me, hated me. You can't read that and understand? Then you're going to denial of that? You haven't hit Wadu. You haven't brought this to yourself. And there's work that needs to be done. So is this going to happen overnight? No. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time for us to digest because it's very difficult. It took me several years to understand this. That guess what? This is what the truth is. Yahweh's face is turned against me. Yahweh has executed judgment against me. Yah has executed judgment against my family. I have to quiet my mind. I have to quiet this uncircumcised mind. I have to accept my guilt. I can't sit there and say my ways are right and they're straight. I can't say any of that. I can't even say what I'm doing right now is right because it's not. It's a great effort. It's a great intention, but it's not exactly what the Most High wants, because if it was, then I would be in a land. If the Most High is not angry with us, we would be in our land. We would be in our land. We would be restored. If the Most High has set us free from the slavery that we are in right now, you and I will be returning to our possessions, to our land, to our inherited land. Just like he said in the Jubilee, we would already have that. But if you and I don't have that, then you have to accept what he says. But that's your confession. You have to say that. That's up to you. He's not telling me, hey, I'm not here to force this on anybody. Just go back and read chapter number 26 and study verse number 40 all the way to verse number 46, and you'll see that, wait a minute, these are the conditions of the heat wadu. You see? And so a lot of people don't know that because they don't know the language. And the language, Azania was right. The language is that's the part that confuses everybody, because they don't know what it is. They don't know what he's really asking. And I'm not trying to outdo anybody or make anybody feel like, well, I'm the only one who knows. No, that's not true. That's not true. You can know the same identical thing. You just got to go do your study and you'll find out that it's true. Our actions and our thoughts and everything that we have done has been perverted. And yes, and this is what I want to say, and then I'll end. And this will help us all feel better, because it's true. Here's the truth, so we can feel a little bit better, so you won't feel like I'm condemning us. Our thoughts and our actions are, or were, or going to, or no longer going to be twisted. We're working with the Most High. He's working with us. He's showing us kindness. We've betrayed and left Yahweh in the past. Now you and I are turning back to the Most High. We have walked in hostility towards the Most High in the past, our ancestors, and now we're returning back to the Most High, and we're saying that we don't want to walk in hostility towards the Most High. Yohe, which is our creator, he is his face is currently still turned against us because we're in the lands of our enemies. And Yahweh has executed judgments on us and against us, which is still in play. And this is something that we're doing right now. We have to do, which is quiet ourselves down and humble ourselves before the Most High. And then, of course, we have to accept our guilt. Okay? Okay. So I'm not saying you're betraying him right now. I'm not saying that you're leaving him right now. I'm saying we have, and we're returning to the Most High. So we've walked in hostility. And I'm not saying you're walking in hostility to the Most High. Okay? I will say that you and I are walking in some areas of ignorance towards the Most High because we don't know, but ours is not hostility. We've walked past tense in hostility. But those who don't know this have to understand that this is what they have to change about themselves. They have to accept this. They have to make this confession. And then when you make the confession, you make the changes, and then things will get better for you because you're in a different standing. You won't be destroyed. That's the whole point of going through the hit wadu, is so you don't be part of the ones who are going to be destroyed because they didn't hit wadu. Here's your teachings for next week. Numbers chapter number 1, 4-20, 4:20, and then Hosea chapter number 2, chapter 2 verses 22, and then Psalms chapter 140-50. It's only 10 of them, and then you start all over again, and you begin in chapter number 1 and go to chapter number 9. Does anyone have any questions? Any more comments? Any more contributions? Yes, Emiya.
Thank you for the message today. Just going back to the 7 things that we must confess on the 7th point. I was just thinking, when we are, or when we must accept our guilt, is that also inclusive of the punishment that we have to endure whilst in captivity? I do understand that, just like Sister Azana has kind of highlighted, that it does show us mercy. to areas where perhaps we've asked for mercy and that mercy has not come forth. I suppose that's something that we must obviously accept, and I suppose there's no other alternative really. So I wondered if that is included in the seven list of
It
things
is.
that. Yeah.
It is. It's a matter of the guilt is saying, okay, well, the perversity that we have done, because guilt is awon, right? So the awon and the perversity and twistedness is saying, have what we've been taught and what we have done in the past, has it been an iniquity against the Most High? And the answer to that is yes. The consequence of that is being sent into exile. So acceptance of our guilt is an acceptance of our punishment. Because if you're guilty, there's a punishment. And it says that the Most High only punishes us according to what we have done. So we don't look at the punishment of the Most High as saying that we are undeserving of it. Because Dawid has said earlier that, and Azania did too, that the mercies of Yah, even while we're in our exile, he's still showing us some mercy. He's still giving us some type of relief. Now, not all of Israel is receiving, this I won't say they're not receiving. I would say not all Israel is responding to the kindness and the mercy of the Most High. No matter what walk of life they're from, they're not accepting it. They're not accepting their guilt. They're not accepting their punishment. They're like a child that's been put on timeout. It just keeps saying, "I don't know why I'm standing here or why I have to sit down." Instead of confessing it, instead of understanding and really meditating on why am I here? Why did this happen to me? So that's what you're right. We have to accept the punishment for the guilt, because this is it. This is the last time. This is our last rodeo. This is the last time that we're going to even experience this. So that's why it's so important for us to understand this. Now, there have been questions that surround, like, well, what did the children of Israel do this before? Have they done this before when they came out? We see that in the book of Daniel and Ezra, where it says, they came out of exile and they did acknowledge, even, they said, hey, we've sinned, we've acted wrongly, we've done this, we left you, we abandoned you. Yeah, they on some measure they have done this, and this has been the recipe that's been through all of our generations, and we've been repeating this over and over and over again. So you say, well, what makes this the last time? Why are you so certain that this is the last time? Because the Most High is going to use this exile, because we're scattered all over the four corners of the earth, versus just some specific areas like in Babylon, or in being ran and controlled by Persia and going to different places in Assyria and all that. Here we've been scattered to the whole world, and he talks about how he's going to show his glory and his judgment to the whole entire world, and how all the nations are going to come, all the nations, not some of them, and then they're going to declare that we've inherited nothing but lies, and then they're going to finally know Yahweh's might and know his power by what he's going to do for his people. So he hasn't done that yet. So we're the people that he's going to do this for, because we're the ones that have been scattered to the four corners of the earth. We're the ones who didn't know our names. We're the ones who didn't know the Torah. We're the ones who have decided that we're going to do Hitwadu on our own, that we haven't been convinced by anybody. This is what we decided to do. Like I said, I'm not, oh, the Most High told me to start teaching. No, this is what I want to do. That's what I want to do. You're only doing what you want to do. So, no religious extra juice on it, like, hey, I've been called to do this, none of that. No, this is what I want to do. And everybody can do whatever they want to do. You see? So this is the last time, according to what is written, according to what he said. Mm-hmm. This is it. Q, you had a question?
No, just disregard.
Okay.
Elder Bill or Azania?
It's me, Azania again. I just wanted to. Okay, so one of the things you said, and I guess in the last month or maybe before then, you had said that one of the reasons y'all sent us here is to worship other deities. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay, all right. So how does that work? Because like my mind's still on 44 that he would not break our break his covenant with us. So so we're here under the covenant. Like a lot of people say, we don't have to honor any of the holy days. All that stuff is done because the covenant is broken. And I think about it and I say, well, actually, we're still under the covenant because we're suffering these curses. So how about when you see people of our nation that are in covenant with other deities and these religions and stuff and even some of the things that we see coming out of with famous people among us, them worshiping even down to all the fraternities and sororities. And so how does that work? I mean, is the covenants that our people are making with these other entities, how does how does it work when we're already in covenant with the Most High? If you could expound on that.
That's a great question. Yeah, that's a great question. I'll speak to what I know about it. Um, all right, so let's deal with the fact that what he says, right? So let's look at what he says about sending us out, right? And when did he say it? You know, so my reference for us to get an understanding about still being in a covenant with him, okay? He tells us that number one, you need to make sure that you guard, okay, the covenant. All right. And he says this in chapter number, I think in 5. He tells us that we always need to make sure that we guard his covenant. We got to be very careful. Let me see. Oh, no. Here it is. Verse number 23. Okay. Let's start in verse number 23. Okay. This is in Deuteronomy chapter number 4, verse number 23. It says, watch out for yourselves. That means your souls. That yourselves right there in Hebrew is your souls. It said you won't forget the covenant of Yahweh, your Elohim, which he made with you, and make yourself a carved image and representation of anything forbidden to you by Yahweh, your Elohim. Because it says, for Yahweh is a consuming fire. He's a jealous Elohim. That's making reference to, them receiving the covenant through the fire, right? He says, when you have had children and grandchildren, you lived a long time in the land and you become corrupt and made a carved image because he knew that this was what they're going to do. A representation of something and done what is evil in the sight of Yahweh your Elohim and provoked him. Call on the sky and the earth to witness against you today that you will quickly disappear from the land that you are crossing the Jordan to possess. You will not prolong your days there, but you'll be completely destroyed. Okay. Um, Yahweh will scatter you. So this is in Deuteronomy chapter number 4. Okay, this is on the last day before they were going to go into the Jordan or the land, cross the Jordan. He said, Yahweh will scatter you among the peoples and among the nations, which is the key that you and I have been looking at today that said, Yahweh has told us plenty of times, I'm going to scatter you among the nations in their houses, right? And which Yahweh will lead you away. So Yahweh is the one who has done this, and you will be left few in number. Then you will serve gods, which are a product of human hands, made of wood and stone, which can't eat, hear, see, hear, eat, or smell. Okay, so there are no gods at all. However, this is the part I want to bring out. However, from there, you will seek Yahweh your Elohim. And that's what you and I are doing. You will find him if you search after him with all your heart and all and being. Okay, that's your mind and your soul. So you need all of it in order to find him. In your distress, when all these things have come, in your distress, verse number 30, when all these things have come upon you, in the Akarit Hamayim, meaning in the final days, you will return. That word return there is you will testify and be a witness to Yahweh, your Elohim. So the witnessing here, Zanya is dealing with when I say return, that means that you're going to return to the laws, the statutes, and the commandments. That's what you're going to return to. Okay. You're going to return to the laws. You're going to return to the statutes. You're going to return to the commandments of the Most High. And in the returning of that, Kobe, you're making some. I don't know how that happened. There you go. Thank you. you're going to return. That means you're going to testify and witness back to Yahweh your Elohim, and you're going to listen to what he says, right? So, and it says, for Yahweh is a merciful Elohim, as you indicated, and we all know, and he will not fail you, destroy you, and forget the covenant with your ancestors, which he swore to them. So he's not going to destroy you. But then you say, well, didn't he just say that I'm not going to destroy you? He said, I'm not going to destroy all of you. There are some people who are going to be destroyed. The only people that are going to be able to endure this are the ones who return to Yahweh and the only ones who listen to what he says. Those are the only people that he's not destroying. Okay. And he says, he's not going to destroy you, or he's not going to do what? He's not going to forget the covenant that he made with your ancestors, which he swore to them. So the covenant that he swore to your ancestors, which he swore to them, you have to ask yourself, what covenant is he talking about? The covenant that he's talking about in this in particular context is the covenant of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov that he mentions in Leviticus 26. He said, I'm not going to forget them. I'm not going to forget the promise that I made to them. I'm not going to forget, what I swore to them. So what did he swear? He said that I'm going to be their Elohim and I'm going to look after them and give them land and descendants. That's the covenant he's talking about there. Here he says he's not going to forget the covenant he made with your ancestors, that he swore to them. He's not going to destroy you, because if he did, he would be breaking his covenant that he made with them. You see? So Most High, when he's talking about the covenant still stands. We're still in that covenant. So when we talk about the covenant of, Har Sinai, the one was given on Mount Sinai, that one is different than the one that was made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. See? So the one that was made with us, which Moses says, today I'm making this covenant not only with those who are standing here, but those who are not standing here. Or I'm making this covenant not with your fathers. I'm making a whole nother covenant. But he's not alienated the other covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It's just a different covenant. In the covenant that he made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, there is no curses. There is no curses for any bad behavior. For us, if we go against what he says, then the covenant that has to do with that requires for us to be, exiled. That requires for us to lose everything and then to be restored. So that covenant provides restoration. That covenant provides to be exiled. That covenant allows the Most High to work with us and discipline us the way that he wants to. Okay. So the people who are not keeping the covenant today and saying that they don't have to do, Yom Kippur, they don't have to do the Day of Atonement. They don't have to do that. I don't know what their intent is. I really don't know what their intent is. I don't know if they're saying that they don't have to do it because they don't want to do it, or are they just not listening to what he has said? Because listening to what Most High says, that you are going to give your attention to it. You see? So the testifying to it, all you're saying is, I testify to what the Most High is saying. So returning to Yah means I'm going to listen to what Yah says. Yahweh says that this day means this and this day means that. If Yah says that, I have to give an offering on this day and I can't, I have to tell the Most High, I'm listening to what you said. I understand what you're saying. I know it's the Sabbath day. It requires the offering. I don't have it. I'm not going to add to what you said. I'm not going to subtract from it. You know that you sent me into exile. So Yah's not expecting any offerings from us. That's just common sense. He's not expecting us to do the things that, right? So he's not asking us to do everything. He's only asking us to listen to what he says. That's what he says you're going to do. You're going to testify to what he said and you're going to listen. So what's happened, everyone, is that we got the word listen mixed up with doing. That's our problem. Okay, so this is Deuteronomy chapter number 30. He reiterates it again and says that in chapter number, this is chapter 4, excuse me. In chapter number 30, he says that you guys are going to return to me. You guys are going to not do what I say. You're going to listen to what I said. Okay. You're actually going to listen to what I'm saying. Israel's problem is that he says your ancestors never listened to what I said. When the time arrives that all these things have come upon you, both the blessing and the curse, That is part of the covenant. That's what he's talking about. The blessings are in the covenant. The curse is inside of the covenant. What shall I present it to you? You are there among, and there's our key again, you are there among the nations. So this is prophetic. You are among, in the house of the Goyim. You're in the nations. Tis Yahweh Elohim has driven you. Okay. Then at last, you'll start thinking about what's happened to you. And you will return. That is, again, testify to Yahweh, and you're going to do what? You're going to pay attention to what he has said. Past tense. Okay. Pay attention here is Shema. You're going to listen. Okay. You're not going to do it. You can't do it. You're going to listen to it, which will be exactly what I'm ordering you to do today. So everything they had a discussion about on that day, that's what you're going to have to do. And you're going to have to do it with all your heart and all your being. So for us, the way that we were taught, all of our heart and all of our being means that we're going to do everything he says, even to the best of our ability. But that's not the way it's supposed to be. All of our heart and all of our being is mean that you have listened to what he said. You agree what he says. If he says don't add, don't subtract, you don't add and subtract. You're wholehearted with the Most High to the point where you're not going to go against what he says, even in the effort to try to please him. You're not going to go against what he says. It says at that point, Yahweh your Elohim will what? He will reverse your exile, and he will show you mercy. Has Yahweh reversed our exile? No. He hasn't reversed our exile. He hasn't reversed it. So when he mentions exile, according to our Torah, he's telling us that guess what? If you're in exile, that means that Yah sent you and still the lands of your enemies. And that Yah's face is still against you. So the moment he stops showing, this moment we get out of exile, is the moment that Yah is truly showing you his mercy by you coming out, and then he will return and gather you from all the peoples to which Yahweh Elohim has scattered you. So when I said that he sent us to go worship other gods, that's what he did, and he did it on purpose because that's what they wanted to do. Matter of fact, he tells them to go worship your gods. You say, well, where's that, Akika? Where did the Most High tell Israel, go worship your gods? So let me show it to you so you won't say he's just saying that. No, I'm not just saying it. This is what he said. You go worship your, but your day is coming. Ezekiel chapter number 20. The Most High makes it very clear. Chapter number 20, we go to the very latter part of it. What did he say? Right here. Yeah, let's begin there. Verse number 32. And what you have in mind when you say we will be like the Goyim, because they've been among the nations, the families of the other countries serving wood and stone, will certainly not happen. Okay, so he sent us here, and this is what we've been doing. We've been serving wood and stone. Now they've become accustomed to him. We'll be like them. Now that they're around them, he said, now you're going to be like them, right? He said it's not going to happen. Isn't that contradictory? Aren't you the one who sent us here to go serve wood and stone? Yahweh says, as I live, says Yahweh Elohim, I swear to surely with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and poured out fury, I myself will be king over you. I will bring you out from the peoples and gather you from out of the countries where you've been scattered. With a mighty hand and a stretched out arm and with poured out fury. Then I will bring you into the desert of the peoples and judge you face to face. Just as I judged your ancestors in the desert of the land of Egypt, so I will judge you, says Yahweh Elohim. I will make you pass under the crook and bring you into the obligations of the covenant. So when he talks about bringing you to the obligations of the covenant, Akoti Azanya and everyone else who's listening, He's saying that the obligations of the covenant are all the things that go along with the covenant, meaning like all of the responsibilities and duties that are attached to it. The only time that that's going to happen is when we go into the desert of the peoples. That's when he's going to bring us into the obligations of the covenant. That's where you're going to have to do what you said you're going to do. He said, I will rid you of the rebels who are in revolt against me. And these rebels here are the ones who are constantly, right now, in the lands of their enemies, who are revolting, not past tense, right now, present tense. And I will bring them out from the land where they're living, but they will not enter the land of Israel. Then you will know that I am Yahweh. As for the house of Israel, here's what Yahweh Elohim says. Going back to what I was talking about. This is what Yahweh says, everyone. Verse number 39. Go on serving your idols. Go on. Go ahead. Go on. Go on serving your idols. Every one of you. Go ahead. Keep doing it. Go ahead and do it. But afterwards, I swear that you will listen to me. You will no longer profane my holy name with your gifts and your idols. Do you see that? For on my holy mountain, the high mountain of Israel, says Yahweh Elohim, the whole house of Israel, all of them will serve me in the land. I will accept them there, and there I will require your contributions, your best gifts, and your consecrated things. I will accept you with your sweet aroma. Then I will bring you out from the peoples. When I bring you out from the peoples. So the Most High is not accepting anything until he brings us out from the peoples. And I will gather you from all the countries where you've been scattered. See? And through you, as he's told us many times, through you, I will manifest my holiness in the sight of the nations. You will know that I am Yahweh when I bring you into the land of Israel, into the country which I pledged by raising my right hand to give to your ancestors. And there you will remember your behavior, all the things you did by which you defiled yourselves, and you will loathe yourselves for all the evils you've committed. Loathe there means hate yourselves. For all the evils that you've committed, you would detest yourself. You will know that I, Yahweh, you will know that I'm Yahweh when I have dealt with you in a manner that preserves my reputation and not according to your evil ways and your corrupt actions, house of Israel, says Yahweh Elohim. You see? So, again, Yah's letting us know that the people that are worshiping other gods, he tells them, go ahead and do it, because that's what they're going to do. But you're going to finally know that I'm Yahweh when I bring you out to the desert, and those who are involved in idol worship and still worshiping them and still doing the things that they want to do and they're not listening to the Most High, they're not going into the land. The ones who have never did the hit wadu, they're not part of the ones who are going to the land. They're the ones who are going to be destroyed. So there's a purpose. There's a reason why we should confess. There's a reason why we should not deny what Yah has done. The moment that you and I think that, this just randomly happened to us, and I'm not saying anyone on in my class right now, I'm saying anyone who is thinking that, I was just born and where I'm at, and I'm just faced with some consequence, like Elder Bill said, hey, we're just the most unluckiest people in the world. What happened? It's not on accident. It's on purpose. You see? So he sent us here to serve their gods. I mean, there's another scripture that I will show you that will help us understand that he would want us to know. That talks about one of the reasons why he did it. Because often I tell you that this is what he said that he's going to do, but I never tell you why he's done it. And that's not fair. He says that you're going to serve, when you get there, you're going to serve strangers. When you get there, you're going to serve strangers. Where's it at? Oh, where's it at? Is it sure? Oh, where's it?
What verse are you looking for, Akika?
The one where he says, there you will serve strangers because you serve false gods in your land.
I'm trying to think what that is. Deuteronomy.
He says something different. He said,
Maybe it was.
will rise above you. And he says all of that.
I was thinking Jeremiah 23.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah. I was thinking Jeremiah
Let me see.
23.
Bible. All right. Let me see. Because this is important. All right. So, 5:19. There you
Jeremiah
go. All
5:19.
right. So
Okay.
let me pull it up real quick. Yeah, that's what's that. So I knew it was in Jeremiah. So he tells us for all of us. Let me just bring it right here. Bible verse. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. So let me pull it up. You know, we were and we are his servant. And so we're not in service, but we are his servant. He says to us that there's a reason why we're going to go serve these gods and we're going to serve the gods of these other nations. The reason why we're going to serve them is because he said, here it is, 5:19. Okay. Oh, perfect. Let's start in 18. But even in those days, says Yahweh, can you see my screen?
Yes. We can see it.
Again, Azania, what does he say? I will not completely destroy you.
Right. Yes.
I will not completely destroy you. When your people ask, why has Yahweh our Elohim done all these things to us? You are to give them this answer. Just as you abandoned me and serve strange gods in your own land, so likewise you will serve strangers in a land that is not your own. So what Yah is doing, everyone, is he's measure for measure. So when they were in their land, he said, you serve other strange gods. So when you go serve these strangers in the land that is not yours, in the enemy's lands, it's literally like I'm sending you to a place to go serve their gods. Because the strangers serve other foreign gods. So since this is what you want to do, then I'll say, hey, you go serve the strangers. The serve there is to be a servant to and bowing down and worshiping, which that's against us because, or against him because he says that you're my servant. You're supposed to serve me, but you're not. You're serving strange gods. You have served, you've bowed down to them, you've abandoned me. That's my all. You have betrayed me. You left me. You pushed me off away from you, left me completely alone, and you served other gods in your own land. So likewise, you will serve strangers in a land that is not your own. That's the reason. There's our answer. So who?
That's a
Yeah,
total blessing, Akika. A total blessing. It's really wonderful because it brings us back to where you were started when you were talking about us being slaves or really servants to the Most High God.
we're his servants. So yes. So when we're serving him, he's saying, okay, well, you can't serve me and them. You left me. So if you're not serving Yah, who you serving? You're serving a strange God. For you, Israel is not supposed to serve any other gods. They're only supposed to serve Yah. That's it. So when we're in the lands of our enemies and we're serving them and we're serving their gods, he's saying to us, well, guess what? That's who you serve. You don't serve me. You're not serving me. So how could you serve me and you're serving me in a strange land? How could you really serve me? No, we're trying to come back to the Most High. We're working our way back. He's wooing us back to him. He's being merciful. He's showing kindness to us. That's what he's doing. Even while he's in hostile, while we're still in hostile lands. Again, I'm going to say it. The hostility of Yah is exile. Doesn't mean he's going to destroy you. It means that I have sent you there into the lands of your enemies. That's Yah's hostility. That's him pushing us out, away from him. That's him saying, I've turned my face from you. Get away from me. I don't want to see you. I don't want to look at you right now. Dawid has said it's Yah's mercy, his kindness, because he could have destroyed us, but he didn't. So we need to be thankful for his hostility, not to his destruction, complete destruction. We need to be thankful that the Most High sent us to go serve these other gods. Because if we didn't, we would have nothing to look at and say, well, they haven't answered us. We need to be thankful that he exiled us. We need to be thankful. See? Because he's only giving us what we deserve. And he's saying, if you don't acknowledge that I'm the one who did this, and you're not acknowledging that I'm hostile towards you, you're not acknowledging I sent you to exile, you're going to think someone else has done this to you. He wants us to know I'm the one. That's why he says, when I come and get you, then you'll know that I'm Yahweh. Know me what? Know that I meant what I said. I'm the one who said it. Remember, he uses prophets to tell us exactly what he's going to do. So when the prophet would speak, he was like, you would know that I'm Yahweh when this comes to pass. Not only you would know when he meant what he said, you would know that he's for real. And he's the one, that's Yahweh. When we look at our servitude, we look at our getting shot and killed and all this kind of, that's Yahweh. That's according to Kurt, that's Yah. That's him, that's his hand. Nothing can ever happen to you and I without Yah's approval. So anything that we're going through right now is because of Yahweh, his hand. So right now, his hand is not for you. His hand is against you. Well, did I say your hand is against him? No, I said his hand is against you. What do you mean his hand is against it? Are you being defeated by your enemies? Yeah, then he's not with you. Are you in the land of your enemies? Yes, Yah's not with you. Are you in the land of defiled bread? Yes, Yah's not with you. Is Yah's sanctuary among us? Yeah, Yah's not with us. Yah has exiled us. See, he put us on timeout. Okay, so that's it. I don't want to overwhelm you, but that's just what it is. So hopefully you guys picked up something and you learned something today, because that's the whole goal, is to learn. All right?
Great lesson.
That's a
Hallelujah.
beautiful, beautiful breakdown on this day of meditation, because you can truly meditate on each and everything, because you bring it in such a natural way, brother. I'm not tooting no horns or nothing, but
Yeah.
it just sinks in, because these are things that keep people from coming in, because we were
Yep.
taught so wrong. We were taught so long, for so long, that we believe everything bad is something else.
Yeah.
We don't understand that everything that happened to us is our own doing.
Yes.
You know, and it goes down. That's why he says, you, your sons and daughters must return. He don't just say, get yourself together and leave them. So we have a big responsibility throughout the whole time. What are you going to do with it? Hallelujah.
Yeah. Hallelujah. I like that. Yeah, don't act brand new. He did this. And he did it. And the righteousness of Yah is he had every right to do it. That's what he's saying. You guys have done this against this. You won't even know if you don't read and you don't study, if you really don't know what's going on, then you will never know why you're hit by do. You will never know why you need to confess. Because you cannot attach it to anything. If you're on some type of spiritual trip and you're not really reading the Torah, you're not finding out where our ancestors dropped the ball, you're never going to know. And then you're going to continue in your rebellion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Satan
so
did it.
let's accept what Yah said. Because he says you can accept all the good I said. Won't you accept this?
It was good.
Come on, you guys. Who's gonna say it? Come on, Dawid. Who's gonna say the Yah has shown hostility towards me? Who wants to say that? That's scary.
Yeah, very. I
Who
mean, you
wants
don't
to
want to say it, but you gotta admit it and say, man, look at well, he's allowed others to be hostile to us, put us in this position because we were so
Yes.
jacked up to him. Say, okay, well, I got you. Since y'all hate me, I'm
Hey,
gonna put y'all in the land and see what hostile feels
yeah,
like. Now taste
yeah.
it. So
Hey, Dawid, did he say that did he say that Nebuchadnezzar was his king of kings?
he said he chose him. He said he chose him to do
Yeah,
his will. He didn't
yeah.
say that he was all that, like he loved him. He just
No,
he
no, he
used
just
him.
used him.
He just used him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He used the
Yes.
king of Assyria to bring
Yeah.
hostility.
Yeah.
So when hostility is happening, who is it?
It's Yah. I
It's
mean, Yah.
Yah.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
anything, any pain, any disease, any disaster, Yah says, he says in the book of Amos, if anything bad has happened, is it not Yah who has done it? We don't
Yeah.
want to say this because we don't want to think of Yah this way. Yah's telling me you need to say this,
Mm,
that I have been against you. You need to say, I've turned my face against you. You need to say, I'm the one who sent you into exile. You need to say, I'm the one who sent you to go worship other gods because you worshiped other gods. You need to say this.
or how to
You need
do.
to say, you need to admit it
Or
that
how
I'm
to,
not for you. I'm against you. You need to say that I'm the one who sent the enemy to destroy you. You need to say I'm the one who took the water away from you. You need to say I'm the one who made your basket empty. You're the one who needs to say it.
or how to
Say
do.
it.
Or how to do. Or how to do.
There you
Okay.
go.
Okay.
Admit it.
Or how to do. Okay. Lavina.
Cain.
Yeah.
So Yah's
It's deep.
king, and he's right. I'm wrong. I confess. You're right. You're the master. You found everything that was wrong, and I accept it. I'm not in denial.
Uh,
That's the person who Yah wants to talk to.
uh, I just
Oh,
love this class. I love this class. It's just, you know, it if you reading it and you understand it's the words what's being said exactly in the context that is being
yes.
said, you get such a clear understanding.
Hallelujah.
English, you just can't really you can't get the whole thing, but
Oh,
I'm in the words. I'm always learning how the letters and stuff, how you connect it and you understand, like all my all, how they can oneness above and on and then other it's like, yeah, but then if from you putting your own into it. It's not from me, it's your own
yeah.
thing. It's
Yes.
you have to understand how it's connected. It's deep. I mean, I enjoy this class.
It is. Yah's telling us the moment that you go outside of my authority, you are an enemy. That's why he sent us to our enemies' lands. We became an enemy to him. We forsook Yah. Our
I,
betrayal of Yah is not recognizing his authority
what's the
on
word?
a highest level.
Enemy is Avivi,
Yeah,
Avi,
it's called Oyave.
Oyave, Oyave,
Oyave. But it's an
Oyave,
Aleph, a Yod, a Bet, and then a Yod.
Oyave, Oyave,
Oyave.
Oyave,
Oyave.
Oyave,
That's your
Oyave,
enemy. Yeah, and you raise your hand against the Father's house, you are an enemy. Any
Oyave.
hostility towards Yah is an enemy.
Damn,
That's who
Oyave.
we're dealing with. Oyave. You guys are, and that's why I sent you to your Oyave. I sent you to your enemies so you can know what it feels like. Now that you should know what an enemy is. So just like he said, you betrayed me, you're being betrayed.
Mm, mm, mm,
You're being betrayed.
mm.
Plain and simple. So what he's trying to get us to understand is our humility is the quietness to reflect upon what we have done. And if we don't take the time to get quiet and we don't really think about it, then you miss the whole thing. And that's not what he's looking for. Not from us. He's looking for humility of an uncircumcised heart so he can make the difference in our life. And so we can really want to worship and we really want to serve him. And then we understand who he is and we can put some respect on him. You know? Hallelujah. Shabbat Shalom to everyone.